Social media is the great equalizer. Can you really build a business from social media? Can you really leverage social media to sell your products and services? Those are great questions for today's podcast episode, and I can't wait to interview Dr. Ikena Finch, the social media guru, who's going to help us to understand the truth about social media and how we can use it for our businesses and for even our own personal advancement when it comes to our personal brand and our reputation. You don't want to miss this episode because we're going to dig deep about the truth on social media.
You're listening to the Markeith Braden Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping emerging entrepreneurs create a profitable life and business they love. And now your host, professional keynote speaker, digital marketing strategist, and master lifestyle coach, Markeith Braden.
Dr. Ikena Finch, thank you for joining me for the Markeith Braden Podcast. I'm so excited to be sharing on this theme topic, the truth about social media. And I know you know a whole lot about social media, and so we're going to really have a great conversation. But before we get started, I want to share a little bit about you from your bio, and then you can share on your own a little bit about yourself that we may not be able to get from your bio. But Dr. Ikena Finch is a podcaster, social media coach, and a speaker. She is also a Forbes Coaches Council member. She coaches in the areas of empowerment, life, and social media at the individual and group level from her company, Finch and Associates. She also is the co-host of Motivate Social podcast, broadcasted by her company named Changing Minds Online. Dr. Finch, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Share a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, how you show up in the world on a daily basis, and let us know, how did you really get involved and engage with social media?
Well, I am Dr. Ikena Finch. I do education, motivation, and of course, social media. I am from Nashville, Tennessee. I have also lived in California as well as Alabama and Colorado. So I've gotten a little bit here and there. Social media actually started in Colorado in 2008 when I was helping soldiers find jobs. And that's when we found this wonderful platform called LinkedIn. And through LinkedIn, we help the soldiers leverage opportunities with employers, as well as different networks and different companies. And from there, we were also able to bring companies directly to the soldiers. And we saw an increase in pay and an increase in hiring rate due to the fact that we had a group where they no longer were pieces of paper, but they were real flesh and blood. And it was a great turning point in my life because I saw the importance that social media has on a life, you know, on somebody who may be scared to come out, you know, transition and know that they have everything set and ready for them to go when it's their time. So that is how social media happened for me. And from there, we went from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. You know, we had the Pinterest and, of course, Periscope, where we blew up from there, and now we're here.
Awesome. So, Dr. Finch, we know you have your doctorate. What is your doctorate in, and how does that kind of help as it pertains to you having grown your brand using social media?
Well, the doctorate is in management, and it also helps because a lot of people see it and they want, you know, the wealth of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And it is also good to open some doors that may not have been opened otherwise. And of course, it's also a motivational piece for people who thought maybe they couldn't do it, or once they hear my story, they're like, I can do this too.
Great. You know, I always tell people the only difference between the person who has the doctorate, the master's, the bachelor's, or the high school diploma is that they went to school longer.
Right?
At
Yes.
the end of the day, we all have our varying levels of intelligence and varying levels of what we have the ability to do. But at the end of the day, in every level, you can find somebody who felt like they weren't as smart or weren't as intelligent, but they just hung in there until they
Mm-hmm.
finished, right?
I agree. I agree.
So let's have this conversation about the truth about social media. I had the privilege of attending a conference here in Nashville called 3686 Festival, a festival for entrepreneurs and startups. And
Mm-hmm.
in one of the meetings that I was in, there was a quote that will probably remain with me the rest of my life that someone said. And they said that simply social media is a equalizer to the playing field, meaning that we all have access to social media and we all have the opportunity to use it to our advantage for entrepreneurship, to our advantage for our civic causes, to our advantage to connect with people. It all depends on how you use it. What do you think about social media being the great equalizer?
I agree in many instances because it is free, it is available. A lot of people sit on certain platforms. A lot of people think that, oh, because I like it here or I like it there, then they're going to excel. And then they wonder maybe why they're not excelling like somebody else. But they have to realize that you need to find out where your market is and where your niche is, and your niche may not be where this other person's niche is, and your audience may not be on that platform. uh, I say, especially with the research and finding out who you attract and who gravitates to you, I think that yes, it is definitely equalized.
Yeah. And as I thought about it, I was thinking, how I've been able to leverage social media for my business, been able to leverage social media to connect with other influencers in
Yes.
the industry of coaching and consulting and digital marketing, which is my particular area. And, without it, I may not have been able to meet the people that I've met. When I even think about my podcast and how it's downloaded in 42, 43 different countries.
Yes.
Without the power of social media and technology, I would not have been able to do that. But what I really want to focus on is, how do we leverage social media to our advantage, even now that it's becoming more of a pay to play type thing?
Yes.
How can we
Definitely.
still leverage social media to further our causes, to build our business, to connect to our target customer avatar?
Wow, that is a great question. That is a great question. So, I mean, a lot of people ask me that question, especially now that it is more pay to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we know, probably about 10% of your audience actually gets to see your post, whereas before it was maybe 50 or 75%. You can get it there, but of course, either you pay to play or your audience shares it like crazy, and then that's when it actually gets on the scales. um, you are fighting against the algorithm, especially on Facebook and of course Instagram, since they sell on both. And even the Twitters and the LinkedIn's have their own algorithms now. And you have to have a strategic plan. No longer does it really work that you just throw things out there and think it's going to stick.
Right.
A lot of people started out that way because they didn't fight the same algorithm 10, even 5, even 2 years ago. And especially we saw that with Periscope. Uh, People were throwing things out there and it was sticking, or because it was new, it was shiny. Well, now that the shininess is wore off, now what are we doing? So we need to make sure that we have a scope. We need to make sure that we're consistent. And we need to realize it's not going to happen in 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
90 days is the time that it becomes a pattern,
Right.
when people start actually seeing you after you've been 90 days consistent. Not I posted 3 times in 90 days. No, it's 90 days of daily consistency before you are really seen. And once we realize that it's going to take some work and to get organic traffic. Now, if you are doing ads, your traffic may grow just a little faster, but if the person that's doing the ads doesn't know what they're doing, then, it may take longer versus if you have somebody that has that expertise and that skill. So we need to, at least when you're starting your plan, have that editorial calendar. Know what you're going to post on your systems. Know which platforms that your audience frequents. And then make sure that all your platforms have the same feel. You know that each platform has a different type of scope, but make sure that when they go there, they know you like they know McDonald's. The yellow arches on the red background with the white letters on the black pole. They should know you on every platform just that way. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And some people may be listening and saying, okay, well, what is an algorithm? And so I looked it up real quick while you were talking. Mm-hmm. And basically what it says here, according to Forbes magazine, is that, an algorithm is what social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what they use to predict what the users enjoy and want to see more often. And so basically what they're saying is that Facebook is relying on your community to like certain things that you're posting or that you're sharing. And based on those likes, based on that level of engagement, will determine who will see your daily or weekly post. Mm-hmm. All right, Markeith, give us an example. If you post something, and actually here's a real life example. I always used to complain about, I just posted something that I just thought was very eye-opening, very inspiring, and this, that, and the other, and it only got 5 likes, and 0 comments. But then I turn around and I'll post what next car I'm gonna buy, and it's got comments and likes and engagement, and I'm thinking to myself, what in the world? However, what that car post did was to help my engagement and potential algorithm, right? Because these people are engaging on these types of posts on my page. And so sometimes you may want to kind of utilize different things that are not necessarily teaching, that are not necessarily trying to get people to purchase something, but just something that people would engage with so that you can start to get some traction and have more people to see your posts. What do you think about that?
I love that. And, it's just kind of like Gary V, jab, 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 right hook. Mm-hmm. Give, offer.
Right.
So in the part where you're giving, so let's say you educate, you give a quote, mm-hmm. then you give a picture of your new car you want to buy, and then the engagement comes up. So what happens? The next post is an offer. Mm-hmm. So more people are able to see it after they've come after something that they are interested in. And a lot of times when you share something about you wonder why that gets more engagement, because they want to connect with you. They are interested in what you do. They're interested in knowing that you are a human being.
Right.
So a lot of times when we post just videos of us teaching or video quotes or this and that, we have to remember when we don't get engagement, they want to see a little piece of us too.
That's true. That's true. And so as we, talk about this whole idea of posting and engagement and likes and comments, how do I, as an entrepreneur or as an emerging entrepreneur, determine which platform is best for me?
That has been the $1 million question, right? So there are many different tools that you can do the analysis on. Some people use the Google AdWords. Some people use the analysis in their Facebook pages, in their Instagram stats. LinkedIn has their own set of stats. Twitter has an amazing set of stats because they are real time. I mean, they tell you right down to the cell phone they use, and knowing your audience and going through the stats, you can see what you're actually attracting. You can also see by the engagement and the times a day that you are putting out there. You can even go through each post and see which ones really gravitate to the people. And when you realize where you're getting the most engagement, usually that's where you need to stay. I have a lot of influencer friends, and one person loves Facebook, but you'll see them more on Periscope and doing Facebook lives, more live streaming. Why? Because that's where their audience gravitates to. So sometimes, even though you like it, you need to go where your audience is gravitating to get the biggest bang for your buck, especially when you're trying to be get the authentic likes.
Right. And so making sure that you're on the platform, because, I made the mistake early on and still kind of have challenges that, I'm on all the platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and not really spending time enough to say which one of these platforms really are producing the most for me as it pertains to clients, as it pertains to generating income and growing and scaling the business. And when I really sat down and thought about it, it was really Facebook and Instagram. I really don't get much traction on Twitter, and LinkedIn is pretty good. But when I think about where I've gained most of my clients, where I get most of the engagement, Facebook and Instagram kind of work together in helping me to be seen as that personal brand strategist and digital marketing consultant. So I've gotten a lot of clients over the years through Facebook primarily, and then Instagram is starting to work on my behalf as well.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because you are a digital brander. And you do digital content. So most people on Facebook and Instagram are visual. So for you to be marketing the visuals, you should be most popular on a visual platform. If you were a blogger, you would be most likely larger on a Twitter than a Facebook Twitter, because it's real time, so they can get those links and pop. So if you put it out there 6 times, you're not going to get the same audience each time.
Right.
So, that is another attraction item. Also, because you are visual, having the certain backgrounds or whatever would have helped you in your live streams. So having a Facebook Live is really behooves you to do because that is where your audience is, and then you're giving them even more visuals and you're actually showing them more techniques. So you have definitely cracked your code on your visual. LinkedIn.
Now, not to cut you off, but one of the things that I've noticed, even with the live streams and the different posts, is that we can't really put too much stock in likes.
No.
Because there have been numerous numbers of times where people will tell me, I watched the video, I saw your video, great content, this, that, and the other, but they didn't necessarily like it. They didn't hit like. They liked the video, they got something out of it, but, given the whatever that was going on in their day, they just didn't remember to do it, or they just was kind of passing through. And so we can't really put too much stock in this whole idea of likes. It is more of producing the content on a regular basis so that people can see it, come across it, and you develop your personal brand. And I'm real big on developing your personal brand so that when people need what you have, they think about you.
Most definitely. I did a speech a few months ago, and I told them likes don't pay the bills. And we have to realize that. Now, a lot of people are hung up into likes and things because companies, they want to see 500 people like that. Yes, but how many people actually bought the product?
Right.
you know, so you are trying to do the visual brand, but you know, how many people are actually on that email list? But you know, you could see people that have 20 people that like their page and have 10,000 on their list because they're not interested necessarily in liking the picture. They're interested in the content. They were too busy going to that link and going to buy the product that they forgot to like the picture. So which one would you want to have as your brand ambassador? The one that has 22 likes and 10,000 people on their email list that you can get your stuff to, or the person that has 500 likes and 100 people on their list?
That's so good. That's so good. Well, Dr. Finch, we have come to the end of the first half of the podcast. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and have Dr. Finch start giving you some tips that you can take to your business or your up and coming business and leverage social media to be able to grow, scale, bring brand awareness to what you're doing. So we'll be right back after this commercial break. At the end of the day, we all want to live successful and impactful lives. We all have dreams and aspirations that we truly want to achieve, but sometimes it's hard to get it done and to achieve those dreams and visions by ourselves. Sometimes you need to hire a coach or have a mentor. That's why I created the Inspire and Elevate Strategy Session. These strategy sessions allow you an opportunity to pull on my own personal expertise of being an individual who went from a 9-to-5 and started his own successful speaking and coaching business. If you have a desire to move to your next level, if you have a desire to take some steps toward creating the lifestyle that you've always wanted, book your strategy session today. Go to markeithbraden.com, click on the Work With Me tab, and listen to the video and look at the testimonials of the individuals that I've helped along the way. Your time is now. Your time is right now. Let's move you to your next level. Let's achieve the dreams and goals that you have by you booking your Inspire and Elevate strategy session. I know this is your opportunity. Now let's just move on it. Well, welcome back to the Mark Keith Braden podcast as we are talking about the truth about social media, how to leverage social media to grow and scale your business, your cause, or just your brand awareness. And we are talking to the Dr. Ikena Finch, who is a social media guru. And this half of the podcast, she's going to share some tips on what you can do to begin to bring brand awareness to your cause or your business and how you can leverage it to grow and scale your business. So Dr. Finch, do you have some tips that the aspiring entrepreneur can leverage as well as the, seasoned entrepreneur who may not necessarily be heavily involved in social media yet? What are some of those tricks of the trade or tips that you would give them as they get started?
Well, first off, as we discussed before, I would say know your platform, do your research. Mm-hmm. Doing the research will actually make that content calendar go a lot faster, and it will actually help you fight off the algorithm, so to speak, and use that to your leverage. So knowing the different ways of engagement will help you. So, you first have a regular post, then you follow that by a picture, then you have the video. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the testimonial where someone shares your stuff or they share something about you, which is the highest. You always want that.
And so, Dr. Fitz, you mentioned the content calendar in number one. Mm-hmm. So what is a content calendar?
Oh, a content calendar. There are apps for that, which would be CoSchedule if you have, your WordPress site, or you could just even write it down. There's a content calendar in OnlyPult if you are using, and Grum as well, if you are using Instagram. But basically, it's a way for you to basically schedule all your information out. You can see it all in one big picture.
Okay.
And you can move things that are not related. You can put things that are evergreen. If something comes up that's trending that may have been down, you can move that immediately up and switch something out. And that way, the strategic feel that you are giving your audience.
So
And it helps.
basically, it's just kind of like a guide of the content that you want to produce uh, throughout the month, throughout the quarter, throughout the year.
Yes.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. So you said first you want to make sure you determine your platform
Yes.
and know which one will work best for your particular mission, your particular cause. And then number two, you were saying that understand the different types of engagement that you can get, whether that be video, whether that be vlogging, whether it be through podcasting, whether that be through, sometimes it might be through physical speaking, and presenting to lead people to certain place on social media. Number three.
Yes. Number three is knowing the difference between likes and leads. It is very important that a lot of people get deterred because they don't have a lot of likes, but all of a sudden their email starts building, or they get a lot of DMs, or they get a lot of calendar requests. That's because your content has been consistent, it's touching people, and there are more to take action than to like. So liking is basically like the lower level in the engagement chain, whereas reaching out, taking action is the highest. So you would want them to take more action than to like.
Good. And so knowing the difference between likes and leads, I really like that phraseology, the difference between likes and leads. So likes have never paid anybody's bills, as you said earlier, right? Likes hasn't really done anything for anybody other than maybe make you feel good. But leads provide you an opportunity to turn that person from a warm lead into a customer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To convert that person and get them into your ecosystem of products and services. So knowing what platform to use, number one, knowing what way to engage your potential customer or your ideal customer. And then knowing the difference between likes and leads. You have another?
Yes. Utilizing your tools is very, very important. A lot of people think, oh, I got to post this thing, right now, right now. No, there's scheduling tools. There's also different tools to make your videos better, to make your Instagram pop, to automate your LinkedIn, to, spice up your Facebook. We have Facebook Creator app. We have videos to take, apps that take, your Facebook lives and put them on YouTube that convert them into podcasts. That is called a repurpose.io. And, there's so many other ones that you can use to leverage what you really want to get accomplished. And so don't think that you have to do everything in the moment. There is a such thing as a right now, I call it a right now poster, and a schedule poster.
Okay.
Both of them have their benefits, and use them wisely so that you're not overwhelmed.
Good. I use repurpose .io or whichever one it was, CO, for my podcast all of last year and part of this year, but I just switched over to Wave.
Yes.
And I like Wave because you can really create different types of graphics and be able to put that waveform on the graphic. I really like that. And it might be a little bit cheaper. They have different levels, but I really like Wave, and I just started using it this week. So I kind of canceled my subscription on Repurpose and went to Wave because I like the fact that I could change the graphic every time, or have something created to be able to put that waveform on. So I really do like Wave a little bit better than Repurpose.
Now I use Repurpose more for my videos and for the YouTube, so that's why I like that one. But I do love the wave patterns. I have been seeing some of the things out there, and I love that for the podcast, and I definitely agree.
So does a small business owner or brick and mortar, do they really need to use social media?
Yes. Yes, most definitely. I mean, short answer.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Is because you never know who you're missing and who needs your services. It's great to have local word of mouth. You can put it in the newspaper or whatever, but who's really going to see that but local people? What happens if there's somebody, you're in Nashville, somebody's in South Dakota that is looking for your services, but they don't know that because they're not looking into Tennessee,
Right.
right? You know, if you put it out there on social media, you put those hashtags out there and you get that reach out there, or you put out an ad or what have you and put that reach out there. You're going to save somebody's life with your services. So you have to think about it. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to waste my time with that. But guess what? What you have might be something that somebody is needed that could change their business.
Right, right, right. And, you're missing out on some new potential customers
Yes,
that if you're serving them, that could be word of mouth for other potential
exactly.
customers. Dr. Finch, you mentioned a few minutes ago about getting people on your email list.
Mm-hmm.
Now, hey, I got all these people in social media. Why I need them on an email list?
Because Mark Zuckerberg could turn Facebook and Instagram off today and you would lose every last one of them. But as long as you have your Infusionsoft or your Webers or, even our little friend MailChimp, you keep your customers and you keep your clients. You can send an email immediately. Okay, we're moving to this platform right here. This is the handle. And you don't miss a beat.
Right. And so you want to have your own list. You want to have a self-hosted WordPress website. You want to be able to have your audience move with you, because you never know what happens to these embassies, is what I call, or what I learned to call them, because at any given time, as we know, they can change on you. They can close out, they can be bought out, all these different things. But if these people are already on your email list, if Facebook ends tomorrow, I still have that list where I can communicate. And so I still believe that social media is a great equalizer. It's a great tool, but I still think that email is supreme, because you get to get into these people's inbox directly. I think what's coming up as a competitor, though, is SMS text messaging. Being able to get in somebody's phone is even more of a greater opportunity, if you can get in somebody's phone, which people protect their numbers.
Yes, that, and also I'm really loving the chat bots. I'm really loving the chat bots. I love the fact that they're only on business pages.
Yes,
because that's very important. Because if they were on personal pages, would that be a breach? That would be something else. But having the business page, and then that makes you push your clients more to your business page, and it also gets you more active there. And what people are really sleeping on the business page for is the SEO.
The SEO, that's it.
And I mean, yes, you get more people to come into your video on your personal page. Yes. Okay, great. But what about when they do a Google search and they see your video because it was on your page versus your profile?
Correct.
So that is something that people need to really start thinking about. And that's why I switched over a lot to doing more videos on my business page, for the simple fact of the SEO.
Yeah. And one of the things I do, which is a great tip for those of you who do live stream videos and utilize Facebook Live, is that I may get more engagement on my profile page. And so what I will typically do is take that video off my profile page and upload it to my business page in case I want to use that video for ads, because you have to have a business page in order to run your ads, or for the SEO purposes. I literally upload it, I give it a title, put a few comments and notes in there, so that if people when people pull up my name, those videos are there. I have all of my podcast interviews uploaded to my business page, as well as on YouTube, as well as on my website.
Exactly. Yes.
So, Dr. Finch, you love social media so much, and you really believe in the power of social media. You have created a conference that you have coming up. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it is the Social Power Summit, a 2-day event that is featuring, believe it or not, people of color that are speaking in social media, as well as women in tech and women in STEM. I noticed, because I fall into those realms, that I didn't see a lot of me when I went to different conferences and in social media. And I realized that I knew a lot of me, but I didn't see that when you went to these conferences that were charging $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a ticket. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, we're going to do something about this. So we're going to make a platform and bring people that are changing the world via social media that look like me. And so we have everything from 8-figure business coaches, 7-figure beauty people in beauty industry. We also have music execs, everybody who are using social media to raise the awareness of their business, their industry, and well as, so we call it the how. So we have workshops. Mm-hmm. We also have the why. That's the different executives, different industries, and how they're leveraging. And then the business, how to monetize and how to make sales and how to build leads on social media. So if that is something that interests anybody, please feel free to go to socialpowersummit.com and check out the lineup. And if you can't make it this year, don't worry, because we are coming back next year, bigger and stronger. And if you are a person of color that wants to be featured, now we are all about diversity and inclusion. It's not just people of color, but we feature this arena because they have not been represented as well as they could be.
Good. Socialpowersummit.com. Is that where they go?
Yes.
Awesome. And it's going to be here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, September 14th and 15th from 9 to 5 both days.
Awesome. Where are you hosting it?
We will be at the illustrious Hotel Preston.
Hotel Preston in Nashville, Tennessee. Awesome. Well, Dr. Finch, I want to thank you for joining me on the Markeith Brayton podcast. You have been a wealth of knowledge, and it was a great conversation to have on the topic of the truth about social media, how you can leverage social media to advance your cause, your business, or your brand awareness. And so I always like to give everyone an opportunity to give final words of encouragement to those who are, aspiring to get their thing off the ground, or those who are in the race, in the fight of entrepreneurship and just need a little something to keep going. What would you say to them today?
Remember that people and things may become obstacles, but this was your vision. This was your mission. And as long as it comes here, it can be developed into full fruition. And it is for you to develop. So no matter what the obstacle is, no matter what the trial is, you were built for greatness. So please keep going.
Please keep going. Great words of encouragement. Once again, thank you for joining me, and we will be back next week with a brand new guest. Have a great rest of your day. What a great interview with Dr. Ikena Finch. She is very knowledgeable and very helpful when it comes to better understanding the power of social media and the truth on social media. I want to thank you for joining me this week for another episode of the Markeith Brayton podcast. I do not take it for granted that you listen to the podcast each and every week. This particular episode, I wanted to really help those who may not necessarily be fond of social media to really understand the power behind how social media can really help you with your business, with your personal brand, or even with connecting and making new relationships. So I hope that you gained or gleaned something from this episode and that you see social media in a different light. I want to ask you to go over to iTunes and like and rate today's episode as I do each and every week, and let me know how you liked this particular interview. Also, you can email me at markeith@markeithbrayton.com to let me know any topics that you would like for me to cover in the future. And once again, I don't take it for granted that you listen to the Markeith Brayton podcast, and I am very excited each and every week to be sharing brand new episodes with you. Until next week, I just want you to remember this. Always shoot for the top, because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Markeith Brayton podcast at markeithbrayton.com. If you've not subscribed to the podcast via iTunes, subscribe today and be sure to leave Markeith a rating and review of today's episode. Just remember this. Always shoot for the top, because it's the bottom that's overcrowded.